Hi.
Hey,
Hello,
Mama.
beautiful people. Hello, how y'all doing? It's Winston here, your resident old man, and I have a guest with me today. The great, the incomparable, my lovely sister here, Immani Love. Say hi to the people.
Peace, everyone.
Hey now. What we doing right now? All right, I had to hit my other button. Now I'm back.
Okay.
All right. So, this month being Queer Women's Month here at Blackout Magazine,
Whoop,
right?
whoop.
And Poetry Month, right?
And
So I
poetry.
was like, yo, so what book am I reading this month? So I was like, okay. So I want to stay with the theme, right? And so I was like, I got it. I got it. So, Adventures in Eroticism, 4 seasons. This book, let me tell you, while a short read, it was very impactful in a sexy kind of way.
Why, thank you. That was the intent.
Yes. I mean, starting out with don't judge a book by its cover. I
It
was like,
was definitely intended to make you think outside the box.
definitely had me thinking outside the box.
Guapa, I can hear you. Guapa, I can hear you.
And let's see, what was my fire? That poem.
Mhm.
That poem was
That poem is a
definitely.
true story.
Is it?
It is.
Do tell.
So that poem Fire, for those who haven't read it, is basically about a quote unquote straight woman um, being seduced. And at the end, she basically has a lot of self awareness. But it was about an ex coworker that who at that time was engaged to a man, and we had a little thing. She enjoyed to have lunch with me. Um, and it spurred some mixed emotions because she enjoyed being with me, but she knew that there was more than just her being straight. She was bisexual in nature, but hadn't admitted it until then. I basically told her she was bisexual, and she was like, "I'm what?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, that's what this is called when you have a male partner and you enjoy time with a woman that's bi. You're
That's
bi."
what we call it. That is the definition.
Right, right. So yeah, it was inspired by a true story.
So, how many of your stories are inspired by true stories?
90%.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I would say yeah. Okay, for this book, 85% were inspired by true stories.
Do tell, do tell. So that let's see, the one in Las Vegas. Wait a minute.
Oh yeah, definitely true story.
That, hey,
The
let me tell y'all,
name and descriptions were changed to protect the innocent, but
wasn't none innocent about that story.
yeah, no. Vegas was a true story. Twins was a true story. Housewarming was a true story. Let me look through them, and I can tell you which
Okay,
ones
run
were
it
true
back
story.
now.
Follow My Directions, true story. Easter egg hunt, true story.
Wait,
Train
wait,
fight.
wait, 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 wait. Let's go back because Follow My Directions is one of my favorites out the book. Say that's a true story.
Yes, that is a true story.
Okay.
So I am a romantic at heart, and I had a partner who needed some romance. So the hotel that is mentioned is true story. It's everything, true story. The whole there's like everything that happened, true story.
We went from 85% true story to now we at 100%
Yeah,
true
we're
story.
getting there. I think the only one that is not a true story is Boot Camp and
Okay.
Amazon.
Amazon was one of my favorites too.
That is one of my favorites, actually.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. All the rest. Okay, Camp Cabin Fever was embellished, but also a true story.
Okay, a little extra flavor to the
Yeah,
flavor. I got it.
but yeah, everything else, yeah, and all of them have little embellishments, but some were embellished more than others, just because I'm creative like that. But yeah, yeah. So let me give you a little background of how this book came to be.
Come on now.
So I had been writing erotic short stories since I was in high school. Like while I was a virgin, I was writing short stories. I used to write them for my friends in high school. You know, they'd be like, "Oh, it's me and my boo, 6 week anniversary, and we need a story." So I would, I would write stories for my friends in school, and of course, make it a little spicy or what have you. And then as I grew older, I would write in journals and what have you. And I had a partner, um, and I had dozens of journals. I had a
Mhm.
partner who, in the midst of us breaking up, burnt most of my journals.
What?
Like yeah, she went for the gut. Um, and I only had one journal that I saved because it was on me at the time. And fast forward years later, I'm healing, I'm dating someone else. We go to this open mic where, you know, I'm doing my poetry thing, and we come back and I write in my journal. And my friend that was with me was like, let me take your journal home and read it tonight. And this is 12 o'clock at night, and we're parting ways. I'm like, yeah, yeah, go ahead, you know, tell me what you think tomorrow. And I get a call at 2 something in the morning from that
Ooh-wee.
friend saying, I want to take a train ride with you. And I'm like, oh, so you got to that story.
Right?
And she was like, listen, you need to publish these. And I was like, yeah, nah, I ain't doing all that. And she was like, no, seriously, you have a talent, you need to publish these. And so I was a little more inspired. And at the time, I was working at the St. Pete Times. Shout out to St. Pete Times newspaper.
Ooh-wee.
Um, and I used to write stories and poems and pass them across the cubicle to my colleagues, and they would like give me, feedback, what have you. And then I talked to them, and they were like, "Yeah, she's right. You need to publish this." Fast forward a few years because I wasn't listening to them, and I just didn't. Um, I left that job, and I had gone to another job and gotten laid off, so I had nothing to do. And she was like, "What you
Mm.
waiting on?" So I put all the stories that were in my journal together and published them. And they, I didn't see it coming, but they went further than I ever expected them to, including internationally. So I was shocked and surprised that people in the UK and France really liked my stories. So I was like, okay, we might be onto something here.
Hmm. We got a question.
Okay.
Do former partners like to show up in your stories?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. That is part of the inspiration. I will write about you. I am a poet. So I will definitely write about you, especially if something stands out unique about our interaction.
Mm.
So, yeah,
I like
several of these stories have X X implications in them.
I like that X implications.
Yeah.
Yo, so you have had quite the career, have been to all of these different places
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
through writing.
Yeah, absolutely. It was surprising. I was working um, a 9 to 5. I was actually a corporate job. I was an executive assistant to the CEO, CFO, CNO, and COO of a hospital in Tampa. And at that time, I was courting that same friend who suggested I publish the book, who I ended up marrying, by the way. Um,
Okay.
but I was living in Tampa, and she wanted to move to Orlando. So I found her a condo in Orlando. Basically, took her to look at a place that I had already got the keys for, and was like, "Oh, do you like this? Here you go." Um, but then that meant I was commuting between Orlando and Tampa, and anyone who knows I-4 between Tampa and Orlando knows that it is treacherous,
Ooh.
especially during rush hour.
Ooh.
So I would be leaving her house at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning to get to work by 8, getting off at 5:36, 7 o'clock, and getting to her about 8, 9, or 10, and doing it back again for like a year. And my body was like, you know what? We're fed up with this. So my gallbladder had to be removed, and I had to have a surgery. And in the month that I was recovering from said surgery, I finished writing this book and recording my first poetry CD
Ooh.
in the month. And her being my partner at the time said, "Okay, so what you want to do? Do you want to go back to work, or do you want to make this a real thing?" And I said, "Well, I'm feeling creative. I want to make this a real thing." And so at that time, I quit my 9 to 5,
Mhm.
and I got my LLC and copywrote all my materials, my poems, my music, and made it a business. Put my stuff. This is way back when iTunes was a thing, so I put my stuff on iTunes and found that it was selling better in France and the UK than anywhere else. And the following year, I made it my first tour.
Man.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. It's insane.
Right? Yeah, iTunes. I miss iTunes when it was a thing.
I miss iTunes too because it was definitely a platform for artists that had more reach than we thought.
Definitely that. You would think though, like with all the different apps and avenues they have now, that like there's so many different ways to reach a multitude of people everywhere. We got another question. What was your favorite place to perform?
Ooh. Oh, that's tough. Okay. I'd have to say it's a three-way tie.
Mm.
Um, a three-way tie between London,
Hmm.
Amsterdam, and Lesbos, Greece.
Lesbos, Greece. Why
Yeah,
does it sound like Lesbo, Greece? Lesbo.
pretty much. So Lesbos, depending on who you are or how it's spelled, but it's a small Greek island, and it has a women's only naturist beach. And
Mhm.
they have a women's festival every year in September that I went to perform for one of my tours. And I went down there supposed to be for 4 days and ended up staying almost 3 weeks.
Ooh.
And yeah, it was like, 2.5 weeks. And it was the most phenomenal experience. Every tour that I did was partially fundraised, and then the rest was personal funds. And while I was down there, there was a financial crisis, and like ATMs weren't working, and
What?
you couldn't take out money or anything like that. And the owner or the founder of the festival put me up in the hotel that we were staying at for the time that we were there, and paid me out of her own funds when we were trying to leave.
Wow.
And it was just that kind of love. The experience was phenomenal. Her and her partner had a couple. They were having issues, and we were having dinner one night, and she was, confiding in me. And the next thing I know, I, and her partner were in her office for 3 hours drinking ouzo. Side note: I don't drink. Um, and sorting out their issues. And it was like, this experience was way more than I ever expected. And it was rather healing because it was the same year I had lost my son. So I was really struggling with my own emotions and had to tap into another side of me to help them.
Mm.
And it was the one of the best experiences I'd had. So it's definitely top on the list. Top three. They're neck and neck. Because
They're like
London's
right
got
here.
UK Black Pride, and that was one of the most phenomenal stages I'd ever performed on. Um, and then Amsterdam has this historic squatters building called Frankrijk. Frankrijk. It is Vrankrik, but they have a performance space, which is like basically a rebels performance space, and it's so much like family there. They do voku, which is a vegan meal for the public that costs like, I think it's like €3 or €5, but they put on a whole meal for the community.
Ooh,
Um, so yeah, top three places, the experiences are everything.
nice. We got another question. What was your worst experience traveling or performing?
Easy. So I was a bit ambitious, and for my third year, I wanted to bring three artists for 3 weeks to three countries because three is my favorite number. And I felt like it was a pivotal year.
Okay.
It was 1 year after I had lost my son, and we were supposed to leave the week after, not yeah, like 4 days after the anniversary of me losing him. The night of the anniversary of us losing him was the Pulse incident,
Mm.
the Pulse tragedy. One of the three artists that were chosen to travel with me was a DJ at Pulse.
Oh wow.
She had literally left the building 20 minutes before the shooting started.
Oh wow.
So she lost several of her friends right before she was supposed to travel internationally for the first time.
Mm.
The three artists that I chose, one was that DJ, another was the a singer, phenomenal singer, and another was a model slash MC who also happened to be my little baby cousin. Okay, not little baby, she's grown, but anyway.
They
uh,
always gonna be babies.
that's my baby cousin. Okay, and getting the three of them together to fundraise to get their funds up to travel was one thing. Getting them all to get their passports was another. Trying to travel with three people, one of which who's dealing with trauma,
Mm.
was a nightmare.
I bet.
Um, we I am a very punctual person. Not everyone feels that way.
Married
And
somebody that don't feel that way.
we were late. We were in, I think our first stop was London, and we were about to leave for Amsterdam, which was the second stop.
Mm.
We had to leave at like five something in the morning to get to the airport. We had three Ubers cancel on us, which then made us late to get to our flight. So we were 10 minutes late for our flight. They closed the doors. Well, in England, there is an airline called EasyJet. It
Mhm.
is the Spirit Airlines of the UK.
Okay.
They do not rebook you if you miss your flight.
What?
If you miss your flight, you have to buy another flight.
What?
This was five people traveling. So it was not budgeted for us to buy tickets for five people. So we spent like 3 hours in the airport trying to get the money up to buy more tickets to get them to Amsterdam. It was a nightmare. And then again, one person's dealing with trauma. So we get to Amsterdam. Amsterdam is beautiful, wonderful. I get us a houseboat for which was an Airbnb for all of us to stay on. It was freaking amazing and beautiful.
Mm.
We performed in a beautiful restaurant that was dedicated to bananas on the hips. I can't think of her name. Josephine Baker.
Ah.
Okay, um, and we were in the Paris Pride Parade on the float with Paris Black Pride promoting their Black Pride.
Mm.
I got her, the DJ, an interview with a French magazine to talk about Pulse and her experience in surviving.
Mm.
She ditched the interview and got into an argument with me the night before we were supposed to go to the next stop. And I was just like, I'm doing everything I can here. They only had to fundraise for their travel. I took care of lodging. I took care of transportation. I took care of booking the gigs. I took care of getting them extra gigs. Um, and it was just thrown in my face. And I got so sick. And they were only with me for 3 weeks, but I had 3 months of touring still left to go.
Mm.
When they finally left, I was deathly ill with the flu. Like it felt like they left and all the negative energy left with them, and my body was like, "Whoo, we're done," and shut down for like a week. I couldn't travel. I couldn't do anything. So, worst experience traveling and performing. Third annual Rainbow Tour, the first leg.
That was it right there.
After that,
Woo.
it was gravy, but
That first
woo.
part was
They
not
made
so
me
good.
rethink bringing extra artists, but I did bring extra artists for the fourth annual and fifth annual tours before I finally was like, you know what, this is not for me, and went back to doing it solo for the sixth annual tour.
So now I know you said you did CDs before, right? So
Yeah,
which do you prefer?
I
The
love
physical
using my
writing or the
voice.
do you?
I love using my voice. Um, I get writer's block,
Mm.
so when I'm up against deadlines is when I perform the best.
Mhm. Okay.
It's terrible but true, especially with the magazine. Sorry, Tam. I am the worst with deadlines, and the same with writing my books. So, for example, the second book that I wrote was called Adventures in Eroticism Workplace, and at the time I was between tours and I was working at an adult store, adult novelty store, and they were trying to branch out and try something different. And the CEO was, brought our store together and was like, hey, does anybody have any ideas? And somebody was like, yeah, Imani said she's writing a book. And he was like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah, it's almost done. And he was like, oh, when is it due? And this was like February. And I was like, oh, it's going to be ready in May before I go on tour. And he was like, oh, great. So we can just do book signings at all of our locations. And I was like, oh, great. Yeah. We'll have it
Woo.
ready by May. In February, I think I had like a quarter of the book done.
Oops.
So I had to really push myself and get into a writing groove. And I made the deadline because, like I said, deadlines are the way to push me.
Hey,
And
man.
I had book signings in four of their locations throughout the state, Central Florida. Shout out to Fair Villa. Um,
Whoop, whoop.
and it was definitely a way to push me. But when it comes to writing, that's a little harder than me than just getting up and speaking. Getting on the mic, my voice is my friend. Apparently, people think it's soothing.
It
So,
is. It is. I
so
speak for
getting
the
on
people. It is.
so speaking is, um, probably my comfortable place. And there was a point where I talked about doing a podcast called Lip Service because I am just devastatingly shy. Don't believe it. I am. I'm shy,
I
and
just
I
can't believe it.
really hate being on camera. So the intent was to just focus on my lips and speak and talk about whatever and read poetry and what have you. But I haven't really followed through on that,
Why not?
because I'm a procrastinator and deal with imposter syndrome. And there's a multitude of reasons. And I feel really bad about that because my roommate is an angel, and for the holidays, although I don't really celebrate Christmas, they got me a brand new fancy microphone to use because I said I wanted to do lip service.
Shout
And
out best friend Nelly.
shout out best friend Nelly. And it wasn't compatible with my laptop. And
Mhm.
so now, instead of me finding a way to find an adapter or a way to adapt it to my laptop, I have just not done anything else. And yeah, slap on the wrist. Thanks for reminding
Let
me.
today be a sign
Listen,
that you
I am
need to get
listening to the
to it.
universe.
Like I honestly find it surprising that you don't do like voiceovers for a living, like that you don't do
Listen,
something that requires you to use your voice.
I want to. I have signed up for some of those voiceover sites, but it's Greek to me to, and I feel like you have to know someone in that industry, and I don't think I know anyone in that industry. I have
Well,
wanted to do voiceover work for ages because I feel like it is where I should be. There was a pipe dream back in the day that I would have like a late night radio show like Delilah,
I can
but
see that.
having Immani Love whispering in your ear, and
I,
before you go to bed, and
I could
giving love
definitely see that.
advice.
Yes. Yes.
But I mean, it was a pipe dream. It might still be a reality. We'll see
I'd be
one of
like,
these
it ain't
days.
no pipe dream. We speaking things into existence
Girl,
today.
we know. Listen,
Yes.
I'm
Listen.
listening.
Y'all out there watching this, y'all need to like drop some comments or something in Imani's inbox or right here if you want to, but you can do it in her inbox to let her know, you know what I'm saying, it's time to get to it.
You're right. You're
That's
right.
right. We want
I
to hear
just need a
that lovely
deadline.
voice everywhere.
Just give me a deadline, and it'll happen.
Don't play. I'll be like, hey, so in 6 months, on this day, when I talk to you, you know what I'm saying? I want to talk to you because I'm listening to you on the radio. I'm gonna call
Right.
in.
I hear that. I receive it.
All right. I'm gonna have to talk to best friend Nelly.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Like best friend, get her.
She does nudge me when I'm slacking on my things, so I do appreciate her.
Hey, you need those type of friends in your life. Most definitely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You and the missus are right up there.
Missing something else, I tell you, boy. She be nudging me all the time about everything. I swear.
I love every inch of her. Trust that.
Yes, indeed. Speaking of the missus, she wants to know: do you self-publish or go through a publisher?
I self-published through lulu.com. So that is where my books are. Some of them are on Amazon, but if you want anything published by me, it's going to be at lulu.com. That's lulu.com. It is a great place for self publishing. You can create calendars there, you can do your own books there. It's easy to navigate. And they put you out on all the platforms. They help you get your ISBN for free. So it's really a great tool. And
Wow,
they take you step by step through the process.
definitely gonna have to check them out because I'm definitely gonna have to get the rest of the books. I gotta get the collection.
Yes.
I want to say thank you for sitting down with me and talking with me today. I surely appreciate it. Always,
Thank you for having me.
anytime, you know. So tell the people where they can find you.
I am Imani Love just about anywhere you look, and that's Ani Love.
See, that's on
Absolutely.
purpose, ain't it? That's
Yeah,
on purpose.
absolutely. 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 All
Well,
the
thank
visuals.
thank y'all for hanging out with us. Yo, like she said, go grab them books from lulu.com, lulu.com. Y'all go grab them books because I'm telling you, like me and the missus is gonna read this again together.
Thank you so much for the support, my love.
Anytime, anytime. It's easy to support an absolute talent and beauty as yourself. All right, y'all. To the next time, y'all remember the 15th of every month we'll be here on Book Therapy, reviewing the book that I reviewed in the magazine for the month. So y'all be easy, and we're gonna talk to y'all soon.